one of the things I had completely neglected to really think about with adding in some of the assistance work and the hypertrophy work with chest and shoulders is that it just takes up a lot of time. Some of these workouts are just a lot longer than what I normally go for. This one in particular today took me about an hour and 20 minutes to get through, and I was pretty tired by the end. Getting to the end, at least, though, doing squats 280, pretty routine is how it felt. A lot better than when I did it 3 weeks ago. So again, adjusting stance is really all I needed to do to really kind of make everything move a lot more easily. And it was kind of an odd-ish workout for me to do today. I was tired, but I really couldn't find like a good point of the day where I started feeling good for it, so I just decided to go for it after I ate lunch. And it worked out. There was nothing I really struggled with, so to speak. There was one set of squats in particular where I know that my form broke down because I immediately felt the work shift to my lower back as I was coming up, and I was like, oh, come on. I've worked so hard to try to maintain good technique and good form so I can get the proper work out of what I'm doing. There's really no point in my eyes to doing something poorly to where it's going to set you up for failure. And, especially when I'm doing like rep work like this. And I believe it wasn't this set, it's the next set. I was just feeling a little tired, but at the same time, like a normal level of exhaustion. But for whatever reason, it just really hit me when I was going through and doing it. I believe, going into the fourth set. So I think it was around rep 3 or 4 to where it just kind of hit me for a second. And those reps were fine. But then for whatever reason, the 5th rep just was a grinder to get through. And it made me debate whether I wanted to do a 5th set. But after like a minute of rest in between the 4th and 5th sets, I was fine. One thing I am noticing, though, and it might just be because of these shorts and some of the longer shorts that I have, where it's a little bit harder to tell, but I am still coming up a little bit short of where I normally want to. Yeah, right there. Coming up a little bit short of where I want to have my hip crease relative to my knees whenever I'm doing my reps. And, maybe I need to back off my squats after this month or change things up and do front squats for a bit, something a little bit different to focus on maintaining an upright position with good depth, just being able to push weight down into an ATG position and just kind of do it effectively. Because I haven't done those in quite some time, and it would be a good way to kind of give my back squat, so to speak, a rest. It's not really going to be too much of a rest overall in terms of the exercise, but the weights will definitely come down doing it. So it's just something I've been musing in my head, and I know I've mused with it before, with doing either both of them, like a front squat and a back squat in the same workout, or doing one or the other. And I'm just kind of stuck with back squats for now because it's still moving along just fine. So I don't know. Doing the deficit deadlifts, I actually had a really weird feeling when I was going through into my warm-ups. There was a strain on my quads to where it felt like they were the main focal point for activation with doing them. And I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong and like what was causing that feeling, just because that should not, you shouldn't feel your quads in a deadlift. It should be all hamstrings. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And when I did a set of 135 to warm up, and then a set of at 5 reps, and then a set of 225 at 5. And I realized I just wasn't locking my hips in, and that is something that I've been trying to train myself and cue on for the longest time with these, because I think that is the where I'm lacking, both in my deficit deadlifts and just my conventional deadlifts in general, is being able to lock that hip position in low enough to where I can utilize my hips alongside my leg drive and really pull that weight up and get it moving. And then, I mean, it's not saying I have any difficulty pulling 255 off the ground. It's a pretty casual weight for me at this point. But just being able to lock the hips, so you'll see that I'll kind of rise and stop. And in my head too, it's almost in slow motion to where I'm coming up and I feel the lock in right there, and then I'm able to pull with my hips and my legs at the same time, and just get that weight up and try to avoid any sort of like good morning motion to try, that I was doing whenever I was maxing out my deadlift or doing my reps, when I'm like doing a good morning with basically like 400 pounds, which is super risky. It's not a super good position to put yourself in when you're trying to do a max lift. So just working on it. And I think, I've come to really appreciate these. I haven't done a conventional deadlift in quite some time, and I am thinking about when I want to try doing those again. I'm thinking after I deload after this cycle, so not after I max in a couple of weeks, but one more week following that, and seeing how things feel. I'm hoping to maybe finally pull 400 pounds conventional. I know I've done it with sumo, and I just want to be able to pull it conventionally, just to show that I've made that progress to do it. So I don't know. I might take a week to just kind of max out and take a break from the programming for a little bit. Here in these, I brought back kind of an older favorite from when I was doing my bodybuilding work whenever I first started working out, but doing decline dumbbell presses. And these are a bit of a process doing it just on like my bench at home, because I don't have a good way to get the dumbbells to my hands without having somebody else hand them to me. And especially with coming down on this bench to be able to do the reps, it's a little sketchy. So I did 4 sets of 12 with these. Started out at 30 pounds and went to 35, 40, and then 35, 40, and then 45 pounds. So quite a bit of work doing them and just trying to find the right weight to do it. I felt a good stretch in my chest around when I did the 40 pounds. But, man, when I did the 40 pounds, but it wasn't quite tired with it. Wanted to make sure that 45 wasn't, doable, for all four sets. I was doing it 45 for the last set. Took a bit of work. So I think 40 is going to be the working weight for these going forward. I think historically my best for these was 40 or 45 pounds, but also doing these in a set pattern of something like 12, 10, 8, 8 in terms of reps. But I'm just going to do 12 reps for each set on this at the moment. And finding a way to set the weights down is another thing. I was trying to think, if I set it down wrong, I'm going to mess my shoulder up. So there's a lot of consideration going into doing this when doing this alone. So it's a fun little exercise. Also, on top of that, one thing I ran out of 5-pound plates, which kind of sucked because they're a lot smaller than the 10s that I had to use to get up to 40 pounds on both of these dumbbells, and it just makes it a little less bulky when doing it. So I might go buy a couple more sets of 5s just so I can do heavier weights a little bit more cleanly with these. But looking at it, at least right now, it's pretty consistent on both arms, so that's nice. I was worried that my right arm might be a little bit lagging behind just because it is traditionally my weaker arm, being the non-dominant arm. But so far, keeping up just fine. I'm really wanting to see what the 45 looked like, because it felt like hell going through it. There was definitely, doing the 40 alone just kind of made my chest feel nice and pumped. A little bit of tired and everything, which is that feeling you kind of want to go for when doing rep work. not to where it's like you can't finish, but definitely heavy enough work to where it's like, okay, we gotta work through this to get through it. But something you can do for, however many sets you have to do as well, unless you're doing, AMRAP or whatever. Yeah, so this is 45 pounds. And again, just a weird setup on the dumbbells, a 10, 5, and a 2.5 on each side. My right arm is keeping up just fine, so that's nice. One thing I was just focusing on is making sure that the ends of the dumbbells for the pins weren't hitting. And I was getting them close together and then getting to the right spot against my chest when coming down for the rep to keep it nice and consistent. And it looks pretty good. Like I said, I'm probably going to do 40 for rep work next time I do these. Might do 45 on the last set just to kind of see how it feels comparatively. As I kind of mentioned in the last video of how I kind of structure my rep work, is I'll kind of sample a heavier weight and see how it feels in comparison, or I'll stick with the same weight just to kind of push it and see how things are at overall. Straight arm or rope pulls, the tricep pull down, it's a little deceptive. I thought it was going to be a little heavier because I remember these being a little rough. I haven't done these in a very, very long time. And I did these at 35 pounds to start. Was going to do 10 reps per set, but I really didn't like how that felt at 35, so I did a couple of extra reps just to get a little bit more work in. Just bumped it up 10 pounds to 45 just because I thought, that wasn't much at all. Let me just try 45. And again, not a whole lot of resistance for me. So going to this, I was just like, all right, now I got to bump this up again. And still pretty good form, nice flat back, and utilizing really just the triceps, no body English in that. So nice and strong reps there. Then I bumped up from 45 to 50. Again, just because of how easy that 45 felt. And even then, the 50 was fairly doable. I think this is where I'll rest at my weight for now, just because when I bumped it up again to 55, and it was doable, but I think it was pretty much on the cusp of not being doable at all. I might try it, at the end of these sets as like the fourth set or whatnot, after I've done a few sets at 50, if I'm not exhausted by then. So it's a work in progress. I mean, this whole process is a work in progress. I'm trying to just kind of work and develop as much as I can, but it's going along well. Getting a little bit of body English into the 50, 55. So it's definitely not the most doable weight using my back rounding over as I'm trying to get the weight down. So 55 probably out of the question for now. At least one thing I can do too is just kind of bump it up by 2.5 pounds. So go up to 52.5 and whatnot, or even just 1 pound using the change plates that I have. So I don't know. I'll play with it, see what happens. But it was a good workout overall, even if it was just a little bit long for me. So next one will be on Tuesday, and I'm back onto my regular schedule.